Hey guys, Bearded Wonder here.
And Smiley, bringing you another point of inspiration for your 5e D&D lives.
Today we're going to talk about character background.
And inspiration. I thought we were going to continue that back and forth for like a while. No, that didn't last very long at all.
No, we're not very coordinated, guys.
Never. If we were, we wouldn't. We would have beat Tiamat by now.
Exactly. So today we're talking about character background, and I guess we can start off with some inspiration for characters. So,
Yeah.
I guess just how do you start off your character?
I look at the level I'm starting at.
Right.
To me, that's very important because that tells me how much I have done. If I'm level 1, then I'm new. I either just got out of apprenticeship with a wizard, I just got off the farm, or out of the militia, or just began my life as an adventurer.
But now, should your age reflect your level?
That depends because your level is just how much you've adventured.
Right. You can be like, you
That's
lived all your life here, and now you're bored. Maybe you want to go out and do something, or maybe
Exactly.
some circumstance throws you into.
well. Think about elves. They live for 100 or hundreds of years before they even start getting wanderlust.
Yeah, but if you're like a 90-year-old human,
You've been around the block a few thousand times.
why are you leaving the farm now?
You have
To
issues.
die?
You should never make a level 1 character. Actually, I take that back. You should make a level 1 character that he's been retired for like 40 years, and
Coming
like
out of
his
retirement.
level is him like being out of shape. That would be amazing. And like as he levels up, he slowly gets back to what he used to be.
Until arthritis.
Dude, we have a disadvantage with athletics chicks because of arthritis.
No,
I-
the
I
weather actually plays.
Yes.
It's like
That'd be
when it's
amazing.
fixing to rain, he gets really bad arthritis. But anyway.
Yeah, but like just until someone uses cure disease or something
Yeah.
like that on him, because he never could afford it working on a farm.
But
That would still be amazing. I won't do that.
so, like, when I start getting ready to make a character, it might be based on a character that I've read it about in a book,
Yeah.
or that I've seen in a movie. Like maybe you want to make John Wick, but only he throws daggers.
See, that's a taboo for me. Like making a character from something else because you always hold that character to a pedestal.
Well, to a point, yeah, but
Well, just whenever you make one of those characters, because I've done those characters.
I'm not saying you want to be. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you have to make exactly that character, but like,
Well,
say if you
it
want to be like
wasn't
John
that.
Wick, you can be like, well, I want to be an assassin.
Yeah. Like, it's wonderful having a character inspired by something else you've seen. Absolutely beautiful. I fully support it. What I have a problem with is when you're trying to make that character just like that character. Like, let's say you want to make Wolverine. You can't be that immortal in D&D.
You can't be Deadpool.
You can't be Deadpool.
Wolverine.
You're more likely to be Deadpool than Wolverine, to be fair, because you're not going to have indestructible bones.
Yeah, but Deadpool
Yeah.
just comes back from like a drop of blood.
Yeah.
So
Not even that. He actually can come back from nothing, I believe.
yeah,
Like, those are very taboo. You never want a character that is so badass they cannot be killed at level 1.
yeah. Now, as far as
You're going to hold that character up to an amazing pedestal that it would never live up to. And that does not do yourself or the character justice.
so, I guess let's talk about backgrounds.
Yes.
Like when you're making a background story.
Yes.
Because honestly, guys, if you've never made yourself a background story for your character, unless your DM is just strictly like, I'm not including anything from anybody else in my game, it gives the DM so much to work with, and most DMs are going to appreciate. They're really going to appreciate it, guys, if you give them a good backstory where they can incorporate your ideas and stuff, because it just gives them stuff to put in the game.
Yeah.
They
You
can
don't
feed
want
off
to be too
those.
long. Like, that's my bane. My backstories are always too long. Like, they're pages long at times.
But sometimes that's okay, because honestly,
As long as it's an interesting read.
as long as it's
Yeah.
interesting, that's the big thing. Keep it interesting. You don't want to have a slog about, well, when I was 2, I pooped in my diaper, and my binky went missing, but
I've
found
read
it.
backstories like that, actually, that players have sent me.
Yeah, they're terrible. They're
Well,
terrible.
they're not
It's like-
bad. It's just that they droll on a bit.
Yeah.
With my stories, droll on a bit. But that's my crux, my bane, my curse.
And now,
Over information.
I think
You-
sometimes like you were talking about, character.
Wait, I never shut up.
Well, earlier, we were talking outside before we shot this video about how sometimes players like to make themselves this really badass character.
I've been that like 6 times in the video so far.
Okay, well, they're like level 1 and they've already fought
that.
They've already fought
Right,
a giant red dragon and they've one-shotted it or they've done something crazy like that. Now you can be like, if a player came up to me and they're like, you know, I took down this creature while we were on a hunting party.
Yeah.
Like, I was in a hunting party or whatever, and I got this crazy shot off.
Yeah.
And as long as the player writes in the story that he knows it's by luck.
Not that you charged up against the ancient red dragon, held up your fist and smoked it in the snout, destroying its face.
And I think the creature.
That was real backstory.
I think the creature really matters here because, let's say, you happen to, you know, light your arrow on fire and there's some giant ogre and you shoot that ogre and then the ogre, like,
you get a lucky shot. They saw an arrow goes through the ogre's eye.
Yeah.
As just the wind seems to push the arrow along for you.
And then the ogre happens to have some trolls that are attacking your village with them.
Yeah.
And then the ogre's clothes light on fire and the ogre smacks the troll and then the troll lights on fire.
You get a little bit crazy now.
I mean, yeah, your character did that, and he knows it was pure fucking luck.
The ogre did that, to be fair.
But nobody in your village knows that it was pure luck. So now you're like this local town hero.
Or if you're going to do the big bad beast that you slay in your backstory, make it a cooperative area. Like, your village fought this thing for hours, and it's just laid waste to the entire village, and you're the last one left, and it's haggard, and you just, like, throw a stick, and out of pure luck, it just sinks in to, like, that one weak spot that was built up from hours of conflict. It should never be just I struck it.
Right. I mean, always make it something fun because, like, let's say, with my idea, for instance, say if I made a character like that, my thing would be that he's got a big head. He thinks he can do everything now because his little village put him on a pedestal. He's like the town hero, local folk hero.
That would be a fun character to have in one of my games because...
But I would give him, like, low stats and the things he thinks he's good at.
Have you watched my Out of the Abyss past the 3rd episode? It gets fucked.
But see, if I had a character like that, that was like the town hero because he did something crazy, I would give him low stats on purpose and the things that he thinks he's good at. That way he just fumbles through everything.
Dude, what I would do is I would let you have 2 sets of stats. And have you roll a d20 at the beginning of every round to see which stat you use.
Right, so...
Like, which set of stats, because it represents your luck.
But I would make it mandatory that if you did that, like, you should also make them take the lucky feat. Just to eat up an ASI or something, just so that way they can't.
If we get to level 4, you have to take the lucky feat.
You have to take it. So that way it just kind of goes. It
like
fits
one
your
stat
theme.
it goes from 8 to 12, one there's all their stats.
Yeah.
And the other one like goes from 12 to 15, 12 to 16.
Yeah, so that way they're a little better sometimes.
Yeah.
It just,
Like sometimes they can pull off the shit they're saying.
But those are kind of like a fun way to do your character.
They're gimmicky things that are just fun.
Yeah, but I think that would be fun. That would be fun throughout the whole campaign.
It's something I play in a one shot though. I wouldn't want to play the whole. It'll get old after a while.
I think the way I would do that if I was a player, I would be like, this is how we're going to do it for a while until he realizes.
Yeah, until he proves that
he knows what he's doing now, and that he actually gets out there. Maybe because I think that character. You should leave room in your background for character growth. I don't think static characters are any fun.
Yes, that's very important.
Because if you have a character that's like, I'm the holy warrior, and then you're just like the holy warrior throughout the whole campaign, your character never changed. You never had any depth to it. You were one-dimensional the whole campaign. If that campaign lasts for a year or two, that's a boring character to play for 2 years.
I would say that where you should be the star of your backstory, you should not be the only character in your backstory. You want to have things that can feed the DM.
And don't get mad if the DM kills your background people.
No, that just makes us happy.
I mean, especially if the DM gives you a choice.
Yeah.
like your village is in trouble, or where this person is in trouble, but you also have this other thing that's going on that's big important too. So if you don't go to help that person, and they end up dying, maybe based on percentile dice or some crazy stuff, or the DM's just like they're dead now because you didn't go.
Yeah. Well,
don't get mad about it. Don't get too attached to the stuff in your background story that you get mad because of how the story goes.
I would say I wanted you to be moved by it, either in any way. Like, a little bit of anger is fine. Outright madness is not, but...
Well, madness in the game is fine. Like, in character, if you're mad because they died, that's fine. But don't be mad at the DM or the other players because they didn't help you or whatever.
My bottom line goal with my campaigns is to, in some shape, way, or form, move at least one player in any way. Get some kind of true emotional reaction out of somebody. If I can achieve that, I feel like I've done what I set out to do with the game. Because that means that I've made that person invested. Now, I'm not saying going crazy and kill off their whole backstory family, like when they're not around, nothing like that. Just building up the tension to. And I'm really bad about making things dark, because in darkness is when the light of the players will always bloom out. Or at least that's my belief and what I've seen.
Well, see, also in your character background, I've seen this too. If you write in that you have a child in your background story, that child can die. It can and probably will die at some point in your campaign. And if you're going to be the character that gets butthurt about it, guess what? That's your fault because you wrote it in.
I will say, if you're going to play in a game and you're sensitive towards those things happen.
Don't put it in the backstory.
Don't do it. Don't add things you're going to have a problem with.
And then you can talk to the DM before the game about, it's not if it's not in your backstory, if you're not setting yourself up for this, then just talk to the DM about it. That's nothing to do with character creation. But always talk to your DM about everything. Even your character creation, it's important to kind of talk about your background. Make sure your DM's okay with your background.
Yeah, and you always want to have about 3 or 4 people that are associated with you via your background. You don't know if they're going to get pulled on, but they'll be there. And having like a small list of people that you know helps you write a backstory.
Right, like if you're going to be...
And enrich it.
If you're going to be a rogue... and you have a criminal background, and you have a like an informant or whatever they call it, a connection, underground contact. If you have a contact, write that contact in your background.
If you take the criminal background out of the book, that you get a story plot element. You get a criminal contact.
Yeah,
just as part of the background.
So
you should have him
out, who he is.
Yeah, the specific criminal contact. I believe the way it works is that you just know people in the underground, but it gives you like. You have a guy you know.
Like, he can be like a big mob boss that took you in at some point.
Yeah, he could be a guy that you've done favors for.
While it could be like the head of the Zentarum, and they could help you technically. If I'm the DM, I'm not going to let them help you out right. But they might call it like a little favor.
They'll enter a favor, but they're not going to...
Especially if it's like a fatherly figure, like, like a grandpa figure,
I will never make them overreach or overextend for you.
Nah, so don't expect that in your background. I would never try to write anything in my background to give you a big, giant advantage because most DMs, I wouldn't.
Oh, no.
I'm not going to let you have an advantage over the other players just because you write in your backstory.
Well, everything's an advantage depending on how I look at it and where you are at.
Well, I'm talking about my father's the head of the Zentarum. Well, that's great.
Now, to be fair, that is actually one of the backgrounds. Well, not that specific, but there is like a background where you are the son of a noble. You have access to things nobles have access to.
Yeah, but it doesn't really help you if you're not in the city.
Exactly, but if you're playing an urban-based campaign, it's insane.
But also, there also comes a point where every parent cuts their child off at some point.
Well, that's the thing is, because it depends on the family, because that does not happen when you're rich.
It does not happen all the time, but
that's why you get spoiled brats.
Sometimes it does, though.
But just like how, like the Outlander feature, you can feed 5 people every day. No, you don't have to roll survival for it. That's what y'all use in my game. That's a huge advantage for that character.
It's important in your game, but other games we played...
Now,
just the things we played together... How often has this come into play exactly?
In my games, it has. All my games. Like I've made everyone count their rations out whenever they take a rest out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Because that's what they're there for.
But if you have a ranger, though, you can hunt too.
Yeah, I'll do that. It's just like that's your forage and you're hunting animals.
Yeah.
Like how you found the rope once.
Yeah.
Poor thing. Wait till you find its mother.
I don't see why I had that many hit points.
Dude, it has more in the book. It straight up has more in the book. I gave it like 11. I gave it a D10 plus 2.
Should have credited it and just knocked his head off completely.
But that's our discussion on player background and player inspiration. Always be inspired.
So we'll kind of go through this again. Just a quick little recap.
Yeah.
So, character background. Don't make your character
God.
a god.
Don't make him Alucard from Helsing.
Don't like.
Don't put your character on a pedestal.
Yeah, don't put your character on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Don't write anything into your backstory that you're going to get butthurt about later on if
Your
somebody
level-
gets killed or something gets killed.
Use your level as your experience. Literally, that's what those points are for. But use your level as how much you've accomplished as an adventurer. One being nothing. Now, I'm not meaning you can be a pickpocket in town and all this stuff. That's fine
Yeah.
because you're not out adventuring.
Being a renowned pickpocket is one thing over being.
Like I have a character that in my brother's game that is a conjurer wizard that stole his book. He took the criminal background and he is a pickpocket. But he was trained by his familiar. Like his familiar was his teacher with magic. That's how he learned magic.
Well, guys, that's our thoughts.
He does this thing where he stands uncomfortably close to people. Hey. So they're distracted, looking up at him, and when he picks the pocket, it works.
Creepy.
Yeah, I do it on purpose.
But well, that's our discussion on character background and inspiration.
Yeah.
Just let yourself be inspired by everything.
Music, movies,
Yeah.
your favorite TV shows, books you read, a cool picture you saw one time. When
Like the Death Eaters. Like, I forgot
Yeah.
who did those art for those books.
yes.
Those are some amazing pictures to get some inspiration.
Or like when you're looking for a specific kind of porn and like you get a random image in there or something that actually looks kind of badass instead.
Oh, 4chan. 4chan. Is that still a thing?
I don't know.
Used to be.
Yeah, it used to be the thing.
4chan was a terrible.
Okay, 4chan died. That's a different video. Thank you all for watching. This has been a point of inspiration.
I'm the Bearded Wonder.
I'm Smiley.
You guys take it easy.
Goodbye.